I just want you to know that I have read up on you, I've watched videos, I've run into you in my life several times. And so I want to be careful today. If I end up asking you a question that's been covered well, just say, let's go read about it.
Okay, I will.
I do want to talk about our experiences together.
Okay.
So one of them was Montreux, Switzerland.
In Switzerland.
And
yes.
I was there writing on my first book, and I accidentally got a press pass. And I don't know who you were there with, but you gave me a backstage pass and said, come on back. And Oscar was hanging out, and Luann Barton. So we went backstage, and we were sitting with Tony Garnier, and there was Dylan's closed door. And you and I and Oscar and, I wanted to talk to Dylan, and we were talking, and all of a sudden they tapped you on the shoulder and they said, Dylan wants to talk to you. So let's talk about that experience.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be rejected. So many people there, they didn't know that I knew Dylan or whatever.
No.
But then they talked to Dylan, and there he was, and they were ironing his stage clothes or something. Oh no, man, let's chat for a while. So we did.
And he invited you to get up on stage with him.
Right.
All of a sudden, on the song Borderland?
On the Borderline, yes.
On the Borderline.
The Borderline, yes. It's one of his favorites, which I recorded with Rycooder, and which we did a movie, The Border with Jack Nicholson, that same song. So
And
it's a standard, it's a real good, nice song.
yeah. Well, all of the stories about you that I found, of course they focus on you, but they say, he has crossed over, into rock and roll and played with all these different groups, and they mention Dylan, but nobody ever talks about that experience.
Well, when I first met Dylan, it was a record that Doug Sung was recording, that Doug Sung and band. So it was not the quintet, it was just Doug Sung and band.
Oh, okay.
So Doug just decided to get Dr. John, got Augie and Dylan and Fathead Newman.
Okay.
Yeah, a whole bunch of guys. And at that time, I was here in San Antonio, but I didn't know the session was going or the project was going. So Doug just called me and he says, from New York, here I'm in New York, Flaco, just coming over and sit in with us or whatever. Here's what we recorded with Augie, with Dylan, with Newman, with a whole bunch, And I said, oh man, what am I going to record? I didn't know the project at all. So I just said, okay, well, I'll just chance it and just go and see what I can blend in with the project. Actually, it was the Sir Douglas band that Dylan was sitting in. So it was not a
Okay, so it wasn't the Dylan project, but he was part of this. That's kind of a little Texas gumbo there.
Yes.
Augie, Doug, David Fathead Newman. He's Texas.
Yeah. So it was a big enchiladas with different flavors of different things,
And where is that recording?
It was recorded in New York in Atlantic Record.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that on a Doug album?
Yes. And so there was a couple of songs that the accordion could fit in there.
Uh-huh.
So I just try to sneak in there, you know, with little drills or something, you know, and it made the accordion like blend real nice on what they did on those certain songs.
I bet. So at that time, were you aware of who Dylan was?
Well, I knew the name, of course. Everybody knows Dylan.
Everybody knows Dylan.
Yeah, but I didn't have a clue that when Doug called me, I didn't have a clue that Dylan was there. But then he said Dylan, I just flipped, man. Heck yes, I'll go, man. I want to meet Bob Dylan, you know, whatever.
So you're known as that ambassador that has brought the accordion to so many new people. I would love to talk to you about going into those other worlds. Was any of that deliberate on your part, or is that just the way the universe handed it to you?
Well, when I started listening to different kinds of radio stations when I was a teenager, I tuned in on different stations you know, not just one station. So I tuned in to different stations, and one of them was KGNB here in Brownfields. It was polka, oompa music.
Okay.
It was one of them. But I was like acquainted with the polka because my dad used to. He learned from the Polish or the German, Czechs or whatever. And then I tuned to country radio. There it was, Hank Williams playing You're Cheating God or whatever. And all of those old songs from way back. And the program was the Cowboy Jamboree.
Okay.
KONO here in San Antonio. And then I used to, it was 3 stations that I used to tune in. Boom, one, and boom, and you know, I was just zigzagging on those 3 stations.
So you were listening to a bigger world.
Yes, and my dream was to be a part of those kinds of musics with the accordion, to blend in with those
Okay.
accordions.
So you knew instinctively that it could fit other places.
And then rock and roll came, and then I got into rock and roll, not full blast an accordion of rock and roll, but I did some rock and roll stuff with different projects with different guys. So I tried to get bits and pieces from different musics.
Yeah. So some of that was intentional. It wasn't just accidental, because you knew.
No, it was intentional because I wanted to do it.
You wanted to get bigger, yeah. So is there a story you have about a time that you may have struggled or lost your way or had to overcome?
No, I just in some ways I thought in some ways that they wouldn't accept me.
Okay.
That was I was just like, maybe they don't like what I want to do, but it worked out pretty good though.
I would say from sitting right here.
Yes, I was challenging in some ways that, hey, I want to do it, but I don't know if I can do it, and this and that. So it worked pretty good.
And you weren't stopped?
No.
Because some people are challenged and they stop.
No, I kept on. I kept on just trying to do the best, or blend in some ways that would fit that kind of music, like or rock and roll, or a Doug Sam, or a Dylan, or a Ry Cooder, and or those kinds of things, which there's different things that you can do with different artists.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing, same riffs or same ideas of music, just the same riffs, because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to create riffs of each style,
Yeah.
so it would
I think
it will fit.
I think that's about listening.
Yeah, and
I'll bet you're a good listener.
and feel. The feel is really important.
Uh-huh.
The soul of what you want to do. I think when you're on stage and playing, you automatically just get into it, and you improvise. You whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful to play
Yeah.
something that fits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what helps a lot is the audience, the audience that are responding.
Okay.
Then it gives you more energy to let it all out.
Yeah.
Just boom, just because you have a good response and people screaming. When I'm playing, I feel like one of the audience.
Uh-huh.
That's how I feel.
Okay.
I picture myself in the audience.
Yeah.
Look at myself playing.
Well, I've watched you play many times, and it's always been exciting, and it's always moved my heart.